The G5 Hive. All G5 all the time.
Welcome into episode 16 of the G5 Hive, where we aim to bring you all the honey in G5 college football. I'm Justice, joined again by my co-host Luke. What's going on tonight, Luke? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. This is a tough stretch of being a content creator. I do another podcast. It's the holiday season. You have vacations for work. This is my last week of work before I am off until January 2nd. Doing some traveling. Justice and I, the next couple weeks we're gonna have a little bit different days. Usually we're right around 10:15, 10:30 Mondays, but with the holidays, Christmas being on a Monday, we're gonna have to switch some things around. So we do want to come every week so you guys have something to listen to. But yeah, it's kind of that weird time, and college fantasy football is over, and I feel drained, but I'm really excited to watch the bowl games that we have coming up. A lot of your what I want to say, your casual fans are probably not going to watch a lot of these games because there's going to be, the high profile people are sitting out, but I really want to see what these teams look like. Recruits, etc. Like anybody who's like Boise State, you've got, Taylor Green, committing today to Arkansas. Kudos for him for making that jump up there. But you've got what does that quarterback room look like? Do we need to bring in a transfer portal guy? What do you have in CJ Tiller if he gets to start? Because Maddox, he might be the guy, but he's hurt right now. Getting, just guys getting valuable reps, and then also you've got I know it's not G5, but you got Minnesota that everybody's leaving, and they happen to get bowl eligible with 5 wins. You can't tell me that those 15 practices aren't going to be valuable for them to figure out what do we have and what do we need. I feel like anybody who's losing a lot of people in the portal, Ohio, this is a good chance to figure out what do we need, what are our gaps.
Yeah, I mean, JMU's losing a lot in the portal too, with McLeod and some other players. So yeah, be interesting to see, like you said, who kind of steps up. We'll get to see players that we may not have seen all year, right? And kind of lead us into next season. I mean, it seems like it happens every year. There's 1 or 2 players that just kind of go bonkers, and they can sometimes springboard that bowl game into a prime time role for fantasy purposes next season. So, be interesting to see who does that this year.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some game that puts somebody on the map that everyone's talking about, and I can't wait.
One thing you mentioned about Taylor Green while I was watching our intro, I was like, oh, Javon Harvey. Now he's a Texas A&M Aggie. That just seems really strange to me. But
yeah, tell me about it, because it's not like he had the best of season. There's probably, being in the doghouse probably played into it. But yeah, that seems to be quite the jump up for the lack of production that was this year.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is surprising to me. I don't know. Like, I wish the young man well. He's a local kid, and but it does seem like quite a big jump. And I don't know. I mean, I hope for his sake he can produce in the SEC, but I would not be necessarily hopeful of that just because of the uptick in talent there, but maybe he'll prove us wrong. Last week, the only game in town, Army versus Navy. Army won 17-11. I watched the first half of the game. It wasn't, I don't know. Army, looked like the better team. Army ended up winning the game. Navy rotated their quarterbacks. Kanye Udo, who you mentioned previously, and you put here on the show sheet, had 13 for 88 yards. I'd actually rostered him in a few leagues. I think he's talented, but I just don't know that he's ever going to be startable. They just share the ball so much there.
I think if he's a starting running back, I mean, obviously the quarterback, is a huge part of that. But I feel bye weeks, you always have that bye week hell, bye week Armageddon. I feel like that is he is bye week injury stopgaps. I feel like for fantasy.
Yeah, he
purposes.
could. I can see that.
Or deep league.
Yeah, obviously, deep leagues for sure. It just, I don't know. It just seems like he kind of had a good stretch there, maybe like a quarter of the way in, a third of the way into the season, and then kind of fell off the face of the earth, so to speak. And then was good again in the bowl game. I think he's talented for sure. I just worry about, is he going to get the volume to be able to sustain him from a fantasy perspective. I don't really have much else to say about the game.
I did not get a chance to watch it, but from what I gathered by looking at the play-by-play, it looked like nothing really happened all game, and then like the last 7 minutes or so, like everything happened.
It wasn't. I mean, like I said, I watched the
big,
first half. It wasn't an exciting game.
It was the talk of the town was the safety at the end with the over-unders.
Yeah.
So if you have not paid attention to that, go check that out. Kind of interesting. There. So, yeah, the big news. Let's talk about the big news. Ashton Jeanty is coming back to Boise State for another go around. I saw some rumors swirling around that his deal consisted of $300,000, his own place to live, and an upgrade on a vehicle. So, not too bad. We will definitely doesn't hurt. The NIL, got their stuff together, and that's huge news, especially for a new coach being hired. That is probably considered a huge win for that coaching staff to retain Jeanty.
And George Hulani will not be back. He's out of eligibility, despite many people thinking he had a year left. They came out recently this week that he's out of eligibility.
And I will be fascinated to really understand the story. So, talk to somebody, within Boise, and they were working under the operation that they had another year with George. Now, I don't know how it came about that they found out here that turns out this is it. So I will be interested if I can figure that out. Not that big of a deal because it is what it is. But yes, he gets it all to himself here. So
yeah, huge. I mean, he's got to be the, in my opinion, RB1 in a PPR league. In a non-PPR league, I can see him and Ollie Gordon kind of being 1-2. Pick your poison. Who do you want number one? But I think for a PPR league, JT is the clear number one RB, in my opinion. I don't know who else you could say other than Gordon, but Gordon just doesn't get the catches to me.
Yep.
All right, moving on to some coaching notes. So a lot of these we talked about last week, and some of these are now official. Middle Tennessee State has hired Derek Mason from Vanderbilt as their head coach.
I really like how Vanderbilt does with their athletes that they identify. And I feel like Derek is going to bring that information or that kind of knowledge as to what type of athletes they identify. And I think they're going to be able to really get some sneaky good athletes that really helps Middle Tennessee State here, probably in year like 3 more so than sooner, or I guess later rather than sooner. That's my initial just thoughts right now.
Yeah. And certainly Conference USA is not like a tough conference, and I think Middle Tennessee can certainly compete and win that conference. They have the talent to be able to do that. Battiato will be returning, so he's got a good start there with a quarterback. So be interesting to see if he can maybe bring some Power 5 guys over to Middle Tennessee State. Probably the big one this week is Troy coach John Summerall moving on to Tulane. That's a huge hire for Tulane. From all indications, Summerall, for whatever reason, wanted out of Troy, and I don't really know the reasons why.
He was like the center of like a lot of coaching hires. Like he was really sought after, and he seemed to know it. But also, it seemed like it wasn't necessary. I didn't get the vibe that a lot of colleges were reaching out to him. It was almost like he was reaching out to coaches or like to universities, like I'm available, and they took him up on that. Is like the vibes that I got from just reading different things.
Yeah, I mean, he did great at Troy, right? Led them to a Sun Belt championship. Their defense this past year was phenomenal. Had an awesome running game as well with Kamani Vidal. Gunnar Watson certainly had a good season too, throwing the ball. So, I think this is a great hire for Tulane, and it should serve them well. Now he will have to do some rebuilding there at quarterback with Michael Pratt gone, having accepted his Senior Bowl invite, and the backup, which was Kai Horton, entered the portal. Now, obviously, I guess Horton can return back, so he's got his work cut out there. But he does get Mekhi Hughes back again, so that'll certainly help. And it's encouraging if you own Mekhi Hughes, right, to see the guy that had success with running the ball with Kamani Vidal.
I am a little curious because John Summerall was there for 2 years, correct, at Troy? So,
Yeah.
yes, he won 2 championships, but how many of his recruiting guys really got to play, or did he win with, mostly somebody else's recruiting class? I haven't really dove into it, but I would make the assumption that he won with somebody else's class. And so that'll be really interesting here to see at Tulane. I definitely think there's money at Tulane that he could build there. I think he's taken pretty much his whole staff from Troy. I think.
No.
That's Tulane's. That's Tulane's old coach. That's right.
Yeah, no, because we'll go ahead and talk about the Troy head coaching candidates, but their 2 candidates are 2 of their top candidates are in house, and that's Greg Gasparotto, the defensive coordinator, and he's the interim head coach, and then Joe Craddock, who is the current offensive coordinator. Many folks, I think, believe that they may keep one of those two guys just to kind of keep the staff intact, keep the players intact from the success, like you mentioned, they've had the last 2 years. Another interesting name is Bill Clark, the former UAB head coach. He retired from coaching 2 years ago due to a serious back injury, which he ended up having to have a spinal fusion. And he hasn't said that he wants to come back, but some folks are saying that he does want to come back. So that would certainly be interesting for Troy. He's obviously familiar with the area, being the former UAB head coach, and he was very successful when he was at UAB. So that would be
Was he the head coach when UAB came back?
Yes, pretty sure.
I can't imagine what it's like to have
he was
have a football team, disbanded and then be able to get it back. I can't remember how long they didn't have a team for. 2-3 years, something like that.
They closed down in 2015. He took over in 2014. They closed it down in 15, and then I think they came back in either 16 or 17. So 2 years at most.
That would be.
He was coach of the year, conference coach of the year in 2017.
Because that's something difficult to coach through, and if I do remember right, the players that he did have, would run through a brick wall for the dude. I believe, I can't remember where, but I heard him talk at some point about what it was like to recruit coming from like not being a team to just all of a sudden being a team, and what it was like during that like recruiting period. It sounded wild, but also just like a video game of like trying to get guys in here. It's like, all right, I can promise you this and this, and you're going to compete for a job here or whatever. Yeah, I think he'd be a great person to have in that locker room if that happens. If he decides that he wants to come back.
Absolutely. Another name that's been mentioned is Alex Atkins. He's the offensive coordinator at Florida State. He does not have any ties to Troy. He interviewed for both the Duke and the Tulane jobs. So he's kind of been a hot name this offseason, so to speak. He played at University of Tennessee Martin. And he's coached his entire career at the college level, JUCO, Power 5, and G5. He was the offensive line coach at Chattanooga, Georgia Southern, Tulane, and Charlotte. And then he's now the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach at Florida State. He was also a run game coordinator at Tulane. It's kind of an interesting name because he doesn't really have any ties to Troy. But like I said, he's kind of an up and coming, thought of coach. A guy that does have familiarity at Troy is Zach Etheridge, Auburn's defensive back coach. He is from the area. He went to Auburn, so he's kind of he's very familiar with the school and the area as far as recruiting goes. Another one, Reggie Barlow. He's the XFL DC Defenders head coach. He was at Alabama State previously. He's been at Virginia State. Again, he's just familiar with the area and the state from a recruiting standpoint. Al Pogue, currently the Missouri defensive back head coach. He was a former coach at Troy. He was a star player at Alabama State. He was an assistant coach at Auburn before he came to Troy in 2014 under Neil Brown as a cornerbacks coach. He left there, went to West Virginia, and then Auburn. And then he was back in Troy in 2021 as the cornerbacks coach. And then he was there until he went to Missouri in 2022. And then the final kind of candidate that I've heard is Zach Yenser, Kentucky offensive line coach. He's a former assistant coach at Troy. He also played at Troy. He started his coaching career at Troy as a graduate assistant, and then he went on to serve as the offensive line coach. Then he went to a couple high schools, went to Louisiana Tech, went to California, became the run game coordinator at Kansas. And then he was at SMU. Then it looked like he was at the 49ers from 2019 to 2021. And then in 21, he became the offensive line coach for Kentucky. So clearly he's got some Troy ties as a former assistant as well as a player there. So just kind of some guys to keep a eye on, I guess, on who's going to be Troy, the next head coach at Troy. If I had to take a guess, my guess is either Gasparotto or maybe Bill Clark if he expressed interest.
I would assume that they're going to hire internally, just so they don't. I haven't looked too far currently into Troy's recruiting class for this year, but there's something that can be said about, having guys transfer out and just keeping, with a lot of change, keeping your recruiting class, as intact as you can, and not have to be at this point in the game without a head coach trying to fill in holes through the transfer portal, because it's hard as a kid. I don't want to come play for you. I don't know who the head coach is. I don't know what you guys are running. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And
yeah, I agree.
Then another coaching staff change. James Madison, we got Bob Chesney. I don't know a lot about him, but he is the
it's official. We talked a lot about him last week. It wasn't official, but it's official now. He's from Holy Cross.
Holy Cross, yep. So I'll be curious if he brings a certain quarterback with him or not. That'll be interesting. I don't remember, is James Madison they're taking their OC. He's pretty much taken everybody to Indiana,
he has.
Right?
He's taken a lot of his staff with him, yep.
So that'll be an interesting offense to watch, because it seemed like kind of whatever quarterback you put in there, they just made it work. Didn't matter if you had some rough patches in your past or not. They kind of revamped who that quarterback was, give him some life into their I don't know if I want to say stock, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see how James Madison's offense looks going forward.
Yeah, I think Chesney's really more of a defensive-minded coach.
Mm-hmm.
So be interesting. I'm assuming maybe he'll bring his OC from Holy Cross, but we'll see. And like you said, their quarterbacks in the portal. I don't know. I guess he could end up there, right? But it seems like he's getting attention at some bigger schools, bigger than JMU. So be interesting to see what happens. We talked about this last week. UL Monroe officially hired Brian Vincent to be their next head coach. He was the interim head coach at UAB in 2022, and he was the offensive coordinator at New Mexico that averaged 410 yards per game. He's also been a former assistant at UL Monroe, so no real big shock that they hired him. Be interesting. I like to see if he can keep the offense humming as well as he did at New Mexico with specifically Ja'Cory Merritt. So maybe that'll help that UL Monroe running game.
And then we've in New Mexico. We got Bronco Mendenhall.
Definitely I like that
rumors that he was going to go to Boise State. He was in a lot of different coaching carousel conversations and ends up there at New Mexico.
Yeah, I like that hire. I mean, he's I feel like he's produced quality teams at BYU and Virginia, at least from a fantasy standpoint. Even though Virginia might not have, from a win loss perspective, might not have had the best years, but for fantasy purposes, they always they had quarterbacks that were dual threat and would produce. So I'm really excited to see what he can do with Devin Dampier, their freshman quarterback at New Mexico, who got some run this past season. So yeah, I'm think it's a great hire for New Mexico. New Mexico's a tough place to recruit and to win. But I mean, I think if anyone can do it, I think he can. So excited to see what he does there for the Lobos.
And then Wyoming, we had a surprise retire, and I don't remember. All the weeks are just kind of mushing together with all the transfer portal stuff and all the news. Justice and I do a lot of talking during the week, going back and forth. So I don't know if this has been brought up on the podcast, if it's just something we talked about behind the scenes. But Wyoming had a surprise retirement from their head coach, and Jay Savell is their new head coach. He was previously the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Craig Bowl.
Craig Bowl,
announced.
that's right.
Was it? It was. I don't know. Was it Saturday or? I don't know. It was. I guess maybe it was last week. After we recorded, where he announced he was retiring, and then it seemed like within hours they announced that Sowell would be the next head coach. So I think you kind of mentioned it. Maybe that this is kind of like known but not known kind of deal. Bowl was there. Bowl was there for 10 years. Sawvell is the defensive coordinator, and so I don't expect anything to really change. Right, run the ball and play good defense.
The only reason I think that it was like known but not known is like even if it's health concerns or he's stepping down or he's getting fired, I would like to think as a university, as an institution, you're going to go search and find the best person for the job. That might be in-house, but you've at least got to do your due diligence. That makes me think that they already kind of did their due diligence at some point during the season type thing, whether they were getting interest or not, and maybe made that decision like, hey, you're going to be the next guy up. Either when I decide to retire or, it's going to be at the end of this year. So that's, like you said, the timing was kind of weird, but yeah, that's.
That kind of does it for coaching stuff for this week. Wanted to mention.
I think that's all the coaches. I think that's it. Other than like coordinator positions that might change, I think all the head coaches are now.
Yeah,
figured out.
Well, except for Troy, but
right.
Wanted to give a couple shout outs and mention some G5 award winners. So the Jim Thorpe Award, which goes to the best defensive back in the nation, and that was given to defensive back Trey Taylor from Air Force. So that's pretty cool because not only is he a G5 guy, but he's also one of the military schools, which they just don't get much recognition. So pretty cool to see him be named the Jim Thorpe Award winner. And then the other national award winner from the G5 is kicker Graham Nicholson. Miami, Ohio won the Lou Groza Award for the best kicker. So congrats to those two gentlemen. And then the AP All-American teams recently came out, and just wanted to highlight some of those G5 reps. The first team, once again, kicker Graham Nicholson, Miami, Ohio, and edge / defensive end Jalen Green from James Madison, who, despite missing, I think the last 3 games, maybe 4 games, still got recognition for an outstanding season that he had for JMU. The second team, we have guard Clay Webb from Jacksonville State. We have tight end Dalen Holker from Colorado State. And, our favorite here, all-purpose player in the second team. Ashton Jainty, Boise State, just had a phenomenal season despite missing, a few games injury. I feel like, and we've talked about before, if he played the whole year, he'd be a first team running back and possibly, invited to the Heisman. The second team kicker was also a G5 guy, Jose Pisano from UNLV, linebacker from Old Dominion, Jason Henderson, and cornerback from Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell.
Also, Dallin Holker declared for the draft. I believe it was today or yesterday. So
nice. I have him on a couple of my C2C rosters, so yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Third team APL American running back Kamani Vidal from Troy, guard Christian Haynes from Connecticut, wide receiver Ricky White from UNLV, safety Trey Taylor, Air Force, and punter James Ferguson Reynolds from Boise State. So Boise State's the only one to actually get two G5 players on the first three teams. So shout out to Boise. Any of those surprise you, or any of them? Anyone you think might have got snubbed?
Horton, I guess, is the name that pops out to me of maybe getting snubbed, but maybe it's
Corley too, possibly, maybe.
And maybe it's more of what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
But
I tell you one that surprises me a little bit is LeJontay Wester.
Okay, yeah.
Also
Vidal being a third team kind of surprised me. Maybe like I kind of expected to see him maybe more so on the second team, but I don't know really what more else you have to do. I don't know. I thought he had a great year.
He did. He did have a great year.
Third team, great, but maybe needed a second team. But yeah, I think for me it was Horton. I think was the name that maybe got left off.
Wester was the big one. I feel like that deserves some recognition. He's probably one of the G5 leading receivers in all the statistical categories. All right, so now we'll move on to, I guess, our main topic, and that is the bowl games coming up. So this coming week, as Luke mentioned when we started the show, our schedule for the next few weeks will be a little bit different. This coming week, we will be recording Saturday evening because I will be at the bowl game, the Old Dominion Bowl game on Monday, so not really able to record. So we're gonna shoot for recording on Saturday evening. So we're gonna kind of cover the Saturday bowl games for December 16th.
And then on Saturday we'll cover the week that will be until we plan on coming back for our next one. So
yes,
there might be a lot. This one, because of how much time we have to make an episode. There's only a couple games, so we're going to talk about all the games, whether they're G5 or not, based off of how many games we have between next episodes. They might only be the G5 ones, but yeah, I am curious, Justice, the famous Toastery Bowl, is that the one that's supposed to have the edible mascot?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't heard that.
There is a bowl that is supposed to have an edible mascot, which has got me intrigued, and I, for the life of me, can't remember what bowl it is. But if it's a human, like Is it a human or is it an actual just like a giant piece of? Yeah, you need to look this up. Is this a giant piece?
Pop-Tarts bowl.
It's the Pop-Tarts bowl. Okay, where's that one at? So it's not that one.
What the heck? It's in Orlando.
Okay.
It used to be the Cheez-It Bowl.
Okay.
So it's the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
I am going to be interested. Who's playing the Pop-Tart Bowl? Because I am going to have to watch that.
Let's see. Pop-Tart Bowl.
Because I think of a mascot as something living.
NC State and Kansas State.
NC State and Kansas State. I think of a mascot as something living, whether it's a bulldog, whether it's a longhorn, whether it's somebody in a suit. I think of a mascot as somebody living. They say it's an edible mascot. So there's food on a person.
Yeah, it must be like a giant. It must be like a giant Pop-Tart. Or,
yeah, is it huge? Is it just this giant? Yeah, is it just this huge giant Pop-Tart?
Well, maybe it's just a costume with a bunch of Pop-Tarts attached to it. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure I will not have to watch the whole game to figure it out. I'm sure that will be the talk of whatever it's on ESPN or wherever it's at, because they probably won't have any information on the teams that are actually playing, and probably we'll end up talking about this mascot most of the game. So I can't wait.
Well, the first game up for that day on the 16th is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, which kicks off at 11 a.m. and it features Georgia Southern from the Sun Belt, Ohio from the MAC. The line that I see is Georgia Southern -3.5 with an over/under of 48.5. The weather looks decent, 45 degrees, according to ESPN. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Curtis works in the portal, right?
Yep. I mean, pretty much that Ohio.
Cy Bangura is too.
Yep.
So, that I think that bodes well for Georgia Southern, right? Playing, what I would assume, several, backup players there, at least on the offensive side for Ohio. I haven't heard that anyone has opted out for Georgia Southern. I don't know why they necessarily would. The only thing I've seen recently for Georgia Southern is that, and it doesn't affect this game one bit, but it does affect next season, is Bo Allen, the quarterback who transferred to Georgia Southern from Kentucky. He entered the portal again, and he's returning back to Kentucky, which just seems totally strange to me. But yeah, I haven't heard anything about any Georgia Southern guys not playing. So, Caleb Hood, Derwin Burgess, White, and Davis Brin should all be going for Georgia Southern. Do you want to do picks again? You killed me last time, so maybe I can redeem myself.
if you would like to, yeah, go ahead. I mean, I'll let you type them in.
All right.
If you want to do those. This one is a really hard one because Georgia Southern, to my knowledge, isn't losing any quote unquote big names, but Ohio's defense is pretty good. I mean, they beat Iowa State. And I think Iowa State's offense is better than Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern just hasn't been clicking this year. So for those reasons, give me Georgia Southern.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just think the portal guys that'll be missing will be too much to overcome for Ohio. So give me Georgia Southern as well. Moving on to the next bowl game of the day is the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, featuring that's a 2:15 p.m. kickoff, featuring Jacksonville State from Conference USA and Louisiana Lafayette from the Sun Belt. Jacksonville State is a 3.5-point favorite with an over-under of 59.5. Since you went first on the last one, I will go first on this one in terms of picks. I think I will take. Oh man, I think I'm gonna take Louisiana. Take the underdog.
All right, I'm going to take Jacksonville State. Louisiana's got 2 quarterbacks that are gone, so they're on their 3rd stringer. And Jacksonville State, I don't think really is losing anything. So give me Jacksonville State.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I haven't heard any either of these schools losing much in the portal. So expect them both to be a kind of a full go. So it'd be Zion Webb's last hurrah for Jacksonville State. He'll be out of eligibility. So him, Malik Jackson, should be a good game. I feel like, right? I mean, Louisiana, kind of a home game of sorts for them since the game is in New Orleans. So yeah, it should be a good one. All right.
And then the avocados from Mexico, Cure Bowl, is Miami of Ohio versus App State. Are you looking at other spreads or the spreads that I wrote down from this morning?
I'm looking at ESPN right now. So currently on ESPN, App State is -5.5, which is the same as what you have. Over under. I think the spreads that you have are still accurate. It's the over unders that might be a little bit different right now.
With betting, it all depends on when you did it. So I put these together. I think it was last night. I put them together.
Yeah, the line's still the same. App State -5.5, with an over under of 45.5.
I am going to take App State in this one. Miami of Ohio, we have Gabbert, who's coming back for another season, which I think we talked about last time. But we, what's the name? Smith was the quarterback.
Avion Smith, yep.
He's in the portal. It's not like he was throwing the ball great last time. Anyways, mainly doing it with his legs. App State, you got Noel in the portal, a couple wide receivers in the portal, but I think Aguilar does enough here to power App State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Kanye Roberts, I think, App State doesn't have a shortage of running backs. So, Noel being in the portal doesn't really concern me for them. And like you said, who's going to play quarterback for Miami, Ohio? I want to say they had a true freshman that some people were high on, and I can't think of his name. So maybe we'll get to see him in this game. But even if he shines, I wouldn't expect anything for next season because, as you mentioned, Brett Gabbert is coming back for them. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with you and also go with App State -5.5. Next up is the 5:45 kickoff, the Isoleta New Mexico Bowl, featuring New Mexico State from Conference USA against Fresno State in the Mountain West. The game is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The current line has New Mexico State -3.5 with an over under of 51.5. Let's see, is it my turn to go first, right?
Yep.
I'm going to take the Fresno State getting 3.5. I haven't heard that anyone's left for the portal for Fresno State. So, that Mikey Keene, Eric Brooks, Malik Sherrod should all be a go. As far as that goes, I haven't heard anything that says New Mexico State's lost any guys either. So
Yeah, this is pretty much everybody. For the most part, is all the big names are there. I'm going to go with New Mexico State for this one.
yeah, it looks like the Google Drive sheet's not letting me edit it. So I'm gonna have to write these down somewhere else. Hold on a second. Let me open up Microsoft Word on my computers.
Here, let me try writing them down. Give me a second here.
Is it letting you do it?
Yep. So, Justice, you want to take Fresno
State plus the 3.5.
Okay. I'm going to take New Mexico. Okay.
Awesome. It's weird it's letting you do it. It won't let me. For mine, it says saving your changes is taking longer than usual. Editing is temporarily disabled. So who knows? All right. And next up is the Starco Brands label.
So we've got our G5 versus P5 here, and normally I would love to take Boise State. But being on your third string quarterback and as tough as that UCLA Bruins defense has been, even though you did lose your defensive coordinator to USC, I think the athletes for UCLA, I just think that defense is really, really good. And when you lose a quarterback at a P5 level, like let's say like you were playing in the state of Florida and you win and you need a really good quarterback to maybe get you in the playoffs, but that drop off from your first to second string quarterback and your second to third string quarterback is so bad that they don't even put you into the playoffs. Well, imagine that at a G5 level. It's going to be the Ginty show. I think UCLA is going to know that. I think we're going to get to see how great Ashton is, but I think UCLA is going to be too much. So I'm going to take the UCLA -2. Or what do you have there?
The current line is UCLA -3.5.
Okay.
I'm going to agree with you. I think if I would have loved to seen Taylor Green play in this game, but I think like you said, going down to their third string quarterback, it's just going to be too much for Boise State to overcome against a good Power 5 school in UCLA. But I'm rooting for Boise State. I want Boise State to win.
Absolutely.
And I'm interested to see what Ashton can do against that UCLA defense. Be interesting to see if they get some opt-outs on defense. I'm specifically thinking of their All-American defensive end edge Latu. If he's going to play in this game or not, because he's probably a top 3, I would guess, edge in the upcoming NFL draft. So it'd be interesting to see if he's going to play in this game. But I did hear, I think I heard this right, that Tamorian Harden is in the portal. The running back.
I don't know.
Well, we know Dante Moore is, so I assume it'll be Garbers there. But even with Harden in the portal, they still have Carson Steele. So, I look for UCLA to win this game. And unfortunately, it's the only G5 P5 matchup that we're getting on Saturday. So hopefully Boise State can pull off the upset for the G5. The last bowl game of Saturday the 16th is a 9:15 p.m. start, and it's two G5 teams. It's California against Texas Tech. Texas Tech is favored by 2.5. Over under 57.5. The game is the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, coming from Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm going to take Texas Tech, just because of Taj Brooks. Taj Brooks has, he announced that he's going to return to Texas Tech for his final season, which actually shocks me. I figured he'd be gone. I figured he'd parlay his season into the NFL draft. And I will say what does concern me a little bit about Texas Tech is I think like almost over half their receiving core is in the portal, right? So I think they have 4 guys that are capable starters, but I don't know that they have much behind them. So that does concern me a little bit there for Texas Tech. I haven't really heard that California's really lost anyone. Have you, Luke?
No, I have not. They did get Chandler Rogers in the portal.
Yep.
But I think Cal is a sneaky good team this year. Like in relations to how Cal has been, is like I want to put that as a caveat. Sneaky good for what your expectations of Cal football is.
Sure.
And I'm trying to remember their head coach, but he was their head coach there. Then he left and went to Texas State. Was that right?
You're thinking of I think you're thinking of the offensive coordinator, Spavital. Is Spavital the head coach or is he the offensive coordinator?
Offensive coordinator. And he seems to just win at Cal.
Well, and now he's the he's gone. He's at Baylor. He's the
Baylor? I missed that.
He was the OC. He was the OC for Cal, and now he's the OC for Baylor.
I missed that.
Yep, he moved.
Well, that'll be something Baylor. I will be watching. Non G5 related is because he did not do well at Texas State. Well, he did okay, but he ran the program kind of into the ground and then left. But gosh, this is really, really hard. Give me Cal. Give me Cal the 2.5. I don't feel great about it. Low level of confidence in this game.
Yeah, I was looking to see if there was any mention of Jeremiah Hunter possibly sitting out, but I don't. Just a quick Twitter search. I don't see anything. Anything about that. So
we'll see the new revamped ACC Cal Bears.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that's all of our bowl games.
Yeah.
We'll be back Saturday night. Probably roughly. My guess is probably roughly going to be 10:30. I just got to get my kids down to bed.
Absolutely. I got to go to a Christmas party that night, but I should be home before 10 o'clock. So, but yeah, see you Saturday night, 10:15, 10:30ish, and we'll talk about the bowl games of next week. We'll get to talk about my Old Dominion Monarchs going up against Western Kentucky on Monday. The famous Toastery Bowl, Charlotte, North Carolina. It's I really hope they win because it's a one-off bowl. It's the bowl was moved. That's normally the Bahamas Bowl, but they are doing renovations to the stadium there in the Bahamas, and so for one season and one season only, it got moved to Charlotte. And for the one season, Famous Toastery is the sponsor. So hopefully we can be the one and only Famous Toastery Bowl champions.
Why would you want to go to the Bahamas when you can go to Charlotte? That's what I've always said.
Yeah, I mean, well, so ODU's very first bowl game ever was in the Bahamas. Unfortunately, I did not attend because the game was on Christmas Eve, and it's just kind of hard to, splurge on a trip to the Bahamas when you only have like 2 weeks notice.
Well, Santa works in mysterious ways sometimes, Justice.
But yeah, I mean, I went to the game there in the Myrtle Beach Bowl 2 years ago. I went to that game, and I'll be going to the famous Toast Tree Bowl. So yeah, looking forward to it. Supporting the Monarchs, going to a bowl game. Charlotte's a fun city. Should be a good time.
All right, well, that'll do it for us tonight. We will be back Saturday.
See ya.
Good night.
Go!